For more on this, from Washington, D.C., we are being joined by Dr. Charles Kupchan, Senior Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Doctor, welcome to WION World is One. Thanks for joining.
Good to be with you.
Well, the White House says that Iran rejected wide-ranging U.S. offers before the strikes, including sanctions relief and a joint civil nuclear program. So the offer included dismantling Iran's enrichment program permanently as well. So was that ever a realistic expectation?
You know, I don't think we know the status of the negotiations before the beginning of the military campaign. There were lots of different issues in play: nuclear enrichment and the export of Iran's highly enriched uranium, the ballistic missile capability, support for proxies in the region. We know the conversations were going on. We know the Iranians were surprised at the timing of the strike because they felt that the conversation was constructive. But clearly, from an American perspective, President Trump felt that he was not making progress, that the Iranians were not forthcoming, and as a consequence, he decided to interrupt those negotiations and move toward military force.
Well, Charles, we also know that President Donald Trump says the U.S. and Israel will continue the war on Iran, claiming that Iran's leadership is in disarray and suggesting repeated leadership losses. So the White House says Iran refused peace. Now, it reports that Ali Khamenei's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, might take over the leadership of Iran. Do you see the dynamics between the two countries changing, or has it turned entirely stagnant now?
Well, we just don't know what kind of government is going to emerge in Iran. I would say for now, the Israeli and the American operation is focused on changing this regime. Now, whether that means getting some subset of the Iranian government, some breakaway faction of the Revolutionary Guard, or some other pre-existing military/political formation, we don't know. But I do think that one of the reasons that this military operation is going forward is that the United States and Israel jointly decided that this Islamic Republic cannot be trusted. And there is a very long track record here of Iran having a nuclear program, of Iran killing people in the region. So one can question where this military operation is going. One can question whether there was a clear plan for the day after. But I do think that this is a regime that has been causing trouble in the Middle East since 1979. And, if one can see an Iran emerge that doesn't fall apart, that has a constructive government ready to work with its neighbors, with Israel, with the United States, then perhaps this will prove to be a success. But it is a very high-risk operation. The regime that comes next could be more radical than the regime it replaces. And this could also lead to chaos in Iran, which is exactly what happened when the United States took down regimes in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, and in Syria. So in that respect, this is a very big gamble for Donald Trump.
I hear you, Charles. Now, we also know that other parties are involved in this conflict, especially the country of Lebanon. Israel claims to destroy numerous Hezbollah sites in Lebanon. Hezbollah says it launched another round of rockets at Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, even describing the strike as retaliation for Israeli attacks across Lebanon. So this is the second barrage in a short span of time. Both sides are framing their actions as responses. Who do you think, in practical terms, controls the pace of escalation right now?
Well, Hezbollah was already set back over the course of the last year or so by persistent Israeli strikes. It is interesting that the Iranians were able to get Hezbollah to enter the war and to fire missiles at Israel, and now Israel is retaliating. But I think one of the reasons that this conflict is occurring now and is occurring in the way it is that most of Iran's proxy network in the region had already been destroyed. Hamas radically weakened, Hezbollah set back. militias in Iraq and Syria significantly pushed back by political and military means. And so I think the view here was Iran is as weak as it's ever been. The Iranian regime is weak, not just because of Israeli attacks last year, but because of the poor economy. Because in the last period of uprising, Iran killed thousands of its own citizens in the streets, repressive actions against an uprising. And so, is Hezbollah witnessing its last gasp here? Maybe. But I do think it's quite interesting that Iran has retaliated against so many different countries, all of its neighbors, hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles against the United Arab Emirates. So in many respects, I think Iran is overplaying its hand, and it's creating a very, very significant coalition against it.
Well, Charles, we also know that Hezbollah is reportedly choosing to target Israeli forces on the ground. How does that affect Israel's risk calculations? And could continued exchanges force Israel to shift its military focus away from Iran?
No, I think what we're witnessing here is a period in which both Hezbollah and Iran, to some extent, have maximum ability to retaliate. Because what's happening now, as we speak, on the ground in Iran, and to some extent in Lebanon, is that the Israeli Air Force, the United States Air Force, are methodically, systematically destroying command and control, destroying ballistic missile launch sites, destroying the ballistic missiles themselves. They will not be able to completely remove Iran's ability to retaliate. But now that the U.S. and Israel have effective control of Iranian airspace and effective control of Lebanese airspace, I think will be probably a week or so before Iran's ability to retaliate is significantly degraded.